Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor. We talk about TV shows here in this, and Connor was looking at me funny because this is not how I usually introduce this. Don't worry, it's for a reason. Right now on Screams After Midnight, which is our horror movie discussion show that I do with Tim, we're doing the Octoberthon because it's October and it's month of horror movies. We do a lot of extra episodes just to celebrate the month of Halloween. It's that simple. We're celebrating it by watching a horrifically awful TV show. It's called Inhumans. This is going to be season 1, episode 1 and 2, because they are together, the bastards. Episode 1 is called Behold, the Inhumans, and episode 2 is called Those Who Would Destroy Us. So we'll start spoiler free, as we do for first episodes, and we'll go into spoilers about halfway through or whatever, and we'll give you warning before we do so.
Not that you should care.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't care about this one. But this is Marvel's new show. This was the thing that was going to be a movie, and then they announced it as a TV show instead, but with IMAX involved. It's, oh, they're making an IMAX TV show? This might be the biggest TV show of all time. No, it's not.
I'd really like to go back to that episode of the news and find the
Yeah.
exact quote of what we said about that.
Because I'm sure we were optimistic because, oh, they're bringing in IMAX. This must be a big deal. They must be doing
Yeah,
something
and we
special.
hadn't heard the bad news yet at that point.
Yes, the bad news, of course, being that Scott Buck was the showrunner. Scott Buck, of course, was the man behind Iron Fist season 1. He did the later seasons of Dexter, and he is known for being terrible.
Awful.
So, trailers look bad. We did not expect anything from that. We were expecting poor characters, poor action, poor effects. We were expecting all these things. And it basically lives up to every expectation I had
It,
going
it,
into it.
it delivers. So in that sense, it's hard to criticize it.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Uh, the one thing I will say, now this isn't really a compliment to the show, it's a compliment to the cameras that were used. The video quality is excellent because it was
It
captured
is,
with
isn't it?
IMAX cameras. It's really, I don't want to say it looks good as a show because it's very, very standard direction. It's not a stylistic thing in any way, but just the visual quality in terms of the detail on like the actors' faces and their pores and like the opening scenes, there's rain coming down in slow motion. I'm like, all right, okay, you
Yeah,
looks
but
nice.
they didn't have to do anything except point the camera.
That's why I said it wasn't a
Yeah, no,
compliment to the show.
I just really want to make sure that that's nailed in.
So, so what is actually Inhumans about? Inhumans is a race of people in the Marvel universe, specifically people who are descendants of the original people who were around when the Kree showed up on Earth and experimented with humans and kind of made this new sort of subdivision. And basically, if these people are exposed to Terrigen, they gain their power. They have to, so it has to be activated. They don't just get it naturally, and then they get their power. And Inhumans, the show specifically, and we'll talk about the differences with Shield later on. But in Inhumans, the show, we have a secret city on the moon called Atlan, where there's an entire society of Inhumans living in secret. The city has a cloaking device on it so that it cannot be seen from outside. It just looks like there's nothing there.
Yep.
They've even got emulated sunlight inside the city.
Why
Fancy.
not?
So, so that's what the show is. Oh, and the plot's basically that. So we're the royal family of Atalan, our main characters, and it's the king's brother who's going to be a traitor and try to take the throne and go to war with Earth because he wants to because he's evil. And you know that from the second you see him, and he never. Well, I mean, this is my first complaint with the entire show, and it's very similar to Iron Fist in this respect. In fact, it feels the exact same as Iron Fist in almost every way. But my first complaint is that every single character or concept or plot line that is presented to you is presented exactly as it is, and there is never anything that is surprising or swerves you or like it doesn't present any information in an interesting way. It's just like, oh, he's the traitorous brother. Oh, he's hitting on the queen. He wants her to be his queen
I think I
instead.
can describe 90% of this episode in one word. And that word is not shit, because that would be
Okay.
100%.
Okay, sure. Okay, fair. That's fair. Yeah.
No, exposition. That's all it is. It's just information after information. That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
But it's just so boring.
Oh, it's painfully boring. The characters are just cardboard cows. I don't know why we're supposed to care about any of the lead characters, because, once the whole plot is that he kind of like betrays them in the first episode. I don't know why I care about any of these characters who are being betrayed. Why do I care about Black Bolt?
That feels like that should be like the end of a season. Oh, the betrayal.
Why do I care about Medusa? Why do I care about Karnak? I mean, Karnak's Ken Lung, so I just kind of care a little bit because I like the actor, but that's like,
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really count though, does it?
I don't care about any of these characters. It's like there's a big emotional. You know what? Full spoilers. We're just going to do full spoilers right away because I don't care, and you shouldn't care either. It's terrible. I'll tell you right now, we are not watching a single second more of this show after this double pilot. I have no interest in it whatsoever, because it was awful. But so there's this big emotional moment. It's in episode 1. Episode 1 of Inhumans, there is a slow motion scene, this emotional music playing and crying as Medusa gets her magic haircut. That's just not it.
Literally, no. We should put. You've seen the hair work once.
Twice.
Oh, twice. Sorry, I forgot the other one.
The love scene at the start, yeah.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Which, by the way, when she started using it in the fight, it looked really bad, just in the sense, and not even in terms of CG, which debatably that looked bad as well, but just in terms
better
of
than it was in the trailer. I'll give it that.
Yeah, but in terms of the choreography of the fight, it was just really boring and just very simple and nothing, and it looked kind of stupid. Like, I think ultimately this is the problem with Inhumans being in a TV show or a movie, is some of the powers are just silly, and Medusa's feels pretty silly. It looks silly.
Some of them are better than others in terms of how they come across. Like Karnak's looks all right.
Yeah, Karnak's okay. He predicts things. He can sort of look at all the outcomes, and it's kind of like Sherlock Holmes almost, but that's a superpower.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And I think that one kind of visually at least works all right.
That's okay. Yeah. Gorgon, who's got the hoofs, for legs. He like once he used it in a fight, I could see the potential of this, but it did look really silly a lot of the time.
Yeah. I felt like I was watching a Narnia film.
But I mean, I suppose we shouldn't complain on these things too much, because this is just concept stuff from the comic books. This isn't the show itself doing the problems.
That's true, but I think there is the onus is on the filmmakers to translate that properly. If something isn't working, you have to look at that and say, this isn't working, we need to fix it. And especially, I think Medusa's hair is the one that stands out the worst, because their solution to fix it was just, let's just get rid of it.
Here's the problem with what you just said, though. What you just said implies that the people making this show get anything right or understand anything.
They don't realise there's a problem in the first place.
This is the sort of thing where if this was the one problem with the show and it was otherwise good, okay, that'd be a fair criticism. They should have realised that this wasn't working, and they should have translated it better, done something to it to actually change it to work within the show. But these people don't even understand how to write basic scenes of dialogue, write basic plots, introduce us to characters in ways that aren't just, here's your stereotype number 1.
Yeah, pretty much.
And this is the thing, like, so Maximus, who's the brother who wants to betray everyone, opening scene he's in, he's like, we should just go down to Earth because they have resources, and Black Bolt's like, nah. Well, he's not actually nah, because his whole thing is he can't speak, but he's using sign language, and Medusa's like, he says nah.
It's funny that you mention how you have a somewhat liking of Karnak because you already like the actor.
Mm-hmm.
I have the same thing with Maximus, where that guy was he was a villain on Game of Thrones. He was an excellent villain on Game of Thrones. Okay. So there's already a bit of just, I see him and I go, I don't like you. So that's already there. So it's like, okay, that works a little bit better for me. But again, nothing that comes from this show.
So they set up in the first scene he's in with Black Bolt that he's got this dispute that he thinks they should go to Earth, and he thinks they should be a superior race and go down to Earth, and a lot of this show is actually very racist towards humans, which is kind of funny. Which whatever, like, not a big deal, but it did amuse me at one point because one of our heroes is kind of racist to humans, because Maximus's thing is that he doesn't have a power, so they all kind of look down at him as if he's just some smelly human. And at one point, what's her name, Crystal, she says, I would never join your side, you're just a human. And I'm like, am I meant to be rooting for her? I'm a human. Like, come on.
Yeah. Do you want to know one of my biggest problems, which this is going to sound almost petty, but I really hated it.
Oh, go on.
So you mentioned Black Bolt talks in sign language.
Hmm.
Fine, yeah, it makes sense. Of course, he's going to. He's not going to speak. It really annoys me that Medusa translates everything for everyone. Like this guy's their king. They have, he's literally family, and they never learn sign language. Subtitle it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any good reason to have her repeat everything he says.
I think that's on the list of problems. I think that's down the list, but sure.
It is, but it's I think it's the one that annoyed me most, honestly, because I was just like, I don't like,
So,
like some of them. I go, okay, this was just bad. This was just wrong. This one, I don't understand it at a choice level. Like, why?
let me roll back a little bit. I want to go back to Maximus's
Oh,
introduction
okay,
here.
we'll go back to his
Right.
shite.
Because, right, so opening scene, dispute with brother set up, okay. Very next scene he's in, it's like they've got these two teenagers and they're giving them powers, and the one kid seems like he doesn't have one. And even though it's really obvious, as soon as he says he saw something, he sees visions of the future. But of course, we have the big shock moment later on where Maximus realises, snakes, that was Medusa's hair, up against the wall. Oh.
It's like they've never It's like they've never had a precog before, and I don't buy that for a second.
But whatever. So as soon as he takes them back to his like sort of like the lower class area of the city, and he sticks up for us like, oh, we should go down to that city. We should go down to Earth. We should be united and take back what's ours. And I'm like, yeah. So you're like third scene, you're already like making a move, and then his very next scene, he's like killing someone because he's trying to like do things behind his brother's back. By the end of the episode, he's already made his move, and I'm like, there was no build to this. It literally just went through every single plot beat you could have with them in one episode, and none of it was earned because
This feels
no,
like a full season's worth of arc.
it
Like this,
kind of does
this
actually.
introduction to betrayal. Like that's kind of in my mind. That's your season one cliffhanger. This guy, family betrayal. You start smaller than that.
Yeah, it's clear from the very first scene he's going to betray them, and which would be fine if it wasn't meant to be. Like you can have that be the start of the show, right? You can. But the problem is the way that show presents it. It's as if we're meant to care by the end of the episode that it's happening.
Yeah, we never have a scene to say why. I don't understand why do the others trust him when he's clearly so antagonistic and look, he clearly hates them because he's basically human and they're all more than that. And he has this very blatant jealousy. It's like, why are they just letting him go along with it? Why is no one questioning him at any point?
And coming back to the haircutting scene, I'm like, again, why do I care? You're treating this like the big emotional moment. Which, by the way, as she was doing the action scene and we had the cover of Painted Black, I'm like, you know what? You're just making me think of Westworld because they had a cover of Painted Black and it's season 1 and it was much better than this.
Yeah,
Stop
theirs
it.
was a bit more. Theirs was more unique.
Yeah. I think that's felt like it was trying to be cool and it was
It did.
failing miserably. And that went into episode 2 a lot as well with the action stuff with Black Bolt, which was so poorly shot. As was the fight towards the end with Medusa and the one chasing after her.
Or something.
Orin.
Oren.
Orin, yeah. She like they have this slow motion fight, and all it really amounts to is shoving each other, and then one of them just shoves the other into the car, and like there's some glass in the back of her head, but that's basically it. Like,
Yeah, a little bit of a stabbing. Do you know what I don't get is clearly her power is healing, because she gets up and just and she looks down at the stab wound. She's like, okay, I'm fine. You'd think Medusa would have known that.
maybe I don't know.
Would she not have taken extra steps to get? I mean, their powers aren't exactly secret up there. They have a big ceremony and go, "This is your power."
Was she surprised though when she woke up? Maybe it's like she's got an extra power because she's on Earth or something.
Maybe,
I don't know.
suppose.
Because
Yeah,
the way it treated it, the way she got up, it just kind of felt like not that we're never going to watch any more, so like,
no, I'm not going to find out.
that's fine, whatever. I did honestly my favourite character on this show is probably the not Felicity character on Earth who's tracking things, and the reason for this is because she actually made me chuckle twice. There's quite a few scenes in this that are meant to be funny, especially with Black Bolt when he's with the police and like all those
So
sort
they're
of
kind of
moments.
just groan inducing.
Yeah, they're like roaches. But she actually had a couple of lines that made me chuckle. One was the classic, just like the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the ironic cut, where this rover they've got on the moon, the humans, it's like bumped into the edge of the city. Obviously, to them it just looks invisible. And what's his face? Gorgon with the hooves. He destroyed the thing, but you can just barely see like a sort of blurry hoof, right? And they're like giving him shit for it on Atalan, like, hey, what if they see what that is? And like, they're never going to be able to tell that's a hoof. And it cuts immediately to her going, that looks like a hoof. Mildly amusing. I'll give it that one cut worked. And then the other time she made me chuckle just a little bit. It's in episode 2. It's when she's been basically told to go on vacation. She's been told to take away. But she's explaining before that happens. So she's explaining her tale. Because Lockjaw, and we'll talk about Lockjaw. He's transported like as they were escaping at the end of episode 1. They all escaped down to Earth, all in Hawaii, might I add. We'll talk about why they're in Hawaii because you found this out in an interview.
Did.
But so it's like, oh yeah, four signatures of energy all came down from the moon and they all landed in Hawaii and blah 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 blah. And this guy sort of recounts his story. Our superior recounts the story. He's like, so you think these 4 things that came down are all friends? And Daddy is like, I don't think they're friends necessarily. That also cracked me up a little bit.
Yeah, it did amuse me that he called her not Felicity because it was so blatant that that's what they were going for.
Yeah, to a point. She's instantly more likeable, which is insane because it's a Scott Buck show. I should not be thinking anyone's more likeable than Felicity.
I don't know. She's more likeable than Felicity is now.
Oh, sure, yeah. Okay, yeah, back in season 1, yeah, fair enough. That's a very fair point. So Lockjaw. Here's why you don't do giant CG creatures like this in a TV show that doesn't have the budget for it. Because he looks silly and out of place. He looks like Scooby-Doo from the 2003 movie, or whatever that was, 2002.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, it looks like it kind of looks like Scooby-Doo in that in terms of the quality of him.
It does, yeah.
He looks bad. Although, speaking of Lockjaw, I'll tell you the real problem I had. Well, first of all, the scene where he's introduced, where Crystal's like, sort of, hey, here, Lockjaw, come, boy, and he starts like running towards her. It's shot so still, and it almost felt like a video game cutscene. The way he was just sort of running in the distance, and he wasn't like the camera wasn't doing anything, and it really just felt like this is so stilted. It's just kind of like the same way the fight scenes are so stilted. There's no movement to it, and it feels like, oh, I'm just going to stand here still because it's easier to do the visual effect if the camera's still and we're not doing anything else. It really felt like they were cutting corners to make it simpler.
Yeah.
But the other thing that bugged me about Lockjaw is in the opening title sequence, there's like a little cartoon Lockjaw in the corner of the title, and it looks like it doesn't belong on a show like this. It looks like it belongs in a kid's show.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with that.
I was like, wait, am I watching a cartoon? And then it went to the show. I'm like, oh, okay. That was weird.
Do you know what? I think Lockjaw is what most people are actually most excited about because it's a giant dog that teleports. Who doesn't love the idea of that?
No, the reason why people are excited about Lockjaw is because he can't give exposition for every scene he's in.
That is true. That's a very good point.
Which is, I mean, to be fair, Black Bolt should also be a lovable character because he doesn't talk, which is usually the biggest flaw with Scott Buck characters is they talk too much.
It's still a sign language.
It's just supposed to care and you don't. And by the way, I thought, see the flashback, you get this moment where Medusa remembers when she first met him, and she goes into his chamber, and the flashback is literally just young Medusa going, everyone else is scared of you, but I'm not. Fade back to present. And that's it.
Also, the kid that plays young Black Bolt, I think, was pretty awful.
Oh, he was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. That one, see, where he's like, where the brother's like, you killed our parents, and then it cuts to him killing the parents. That acting was atrocious.
It was pretty bad. Yeah, episode 2 is mostly just our main characters are stranded all over Hawaii. Black Bolt gets picked up by the police because he goes in. This woman in a store forces him to try on a suit, but he doesn't understand he has to pay for it, so he just walks out. And when the security guard tries to like detain him, he just like, oh, you're touching me? What? And he just
these are things that should be funny.
They should
but
be.
Instead, it just comes off as, no, this is just a pretentious dick.
It's ill-timed. It's like the timing's not there. The character. That's why.
Similar problem to what happened with Iron Fist, isn't it?
It's the exact same thing. That's why Karnak is the only one where the humor kind of works a little bit, and it's mostly just because Ken Lung, his delivery works a little bit better because he's meant to be this sarcastic asshole, and it kind of he knows how to do that, and it works a little bit better. But I don't know if that's because his character's better written or if it's just because he knows how to deliver it.
I think it's more likely the latter.
Yeah. God, the action's really bad and stilted and just boring to watch, quite frankly. That's the other thing it kept doing. It kept treating really simple little things like the big moments. Like the music would one of them was one of them smashes their phone. Like they've got these like fancy
Communicators.
Inhuman phones, and one of them smashes their own phone so they can't be tracked, and the music's like.
That was a really awkward moment because she smashed it under her foot, but it looks like she puts absolutely no force into it. And it's like, okay, how easy do these things break?
And then you've got Gorgon, who almost drowns because apparently, I mean, I guess he's never been in water before because he's lived in the moon. So
yeah, and I guess to be fair, they point out, yeah, he probably can't swim that well with hooves.
But he walks into the ocean and then just like I actually went back and watched it again to see if I'd missed anything. I'm like, why is he suddenly in this much danger? But he just walks into the ocean and starts to drown. Luckily though, there's these surfers show up and help him, and then he has a little heart-to-heart with the surfers, and they basically give him the idea to try and like goad what's his face out of Maximus off the moon to come and fight him.
Yeah,
and that's basically it.
I those were some of the most awkward scenes of exposition. Him and the surfers.
Yeah.
Because it was mostly things we'd already even seen. It was like, oh, here's a recap of all the stuff that just happened in episode 1.
Yeah, well, that's what happened in Iron Fist, is people kept re-explaining things we already knew over and over again.
You're right, yeah, it was the exact same problem.
Yeah. So, and I don't know why the action is so, like, bad in Scott Buck shows in a very similar fashion. It shouldn't be. The showrunner's not necessarily the one who's organising the action in the same way.
Is he picking the same choreographer?
Maybe that's it. Like, I mean, I know the showrunner probably has a say in the sort of what the overall style of it should be, but like, I don't understand. Like, does he say make it stilted, make it shit, make it as boring as possible, please? Like, it doesn't make
cheap.
sense. That's the honest answer. Make it cheap. That's why Scott Buck gets hired. He's cheap and he's on time.
Exactly.
That is why he is hired again and again. Which maybe kind of shows
sometimes.
Yeah, it maybe kind of shows though that's why like Marvel just wanted to shut this out because they felt compelled to have to do it because they promised an Inhumans thing, but really it's just let's just shut it out so we never have to talk about it again.
Yeah, I would love to know how Marvel managed to convince IMAX to get involved in this. So we're like, hey, come on, throw us a solid. You want to get in on this? We're totally going to throw you under the bus. You'll never want to get involved in TV again. But you come on.
I really don't know. They did mention something that happened in Shield. They mentioned the Terrigen going through the water.
They kind of had to, didn't they?
Yeah, they kind of had to. I guess you explained it by saying they've got some fancy like little pods that do it for them, but I did think it was weird that when they put the teenagers in the Terrigen, we didn't get the whole rock cocoon thing. I thought that's what was about to happen, and then they just step out and that's them done.
Oh, that's fair.
You can kind of explain it away, but I feel like that's such a simple little thing where that'll make it feel connected by having the same effect.
Yeah,
but
even if it happens quicker.
But instead, you've just pointed out this fact that this feels disconnected. You've made it feel. You've went out of your way to make it feel like it's not part of the same world, even though you've referenced it in another scene. But still. Yeah,
it's kind of shit.
It's one of those little things that would have just helped. I mean, it wouldn't help.
It's
quality,
not bad on its own. Because it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with what they do, like inherently. It's just why is it different?
Yeah. That's. Have we done? I don't know if we've got anything else to say.
No, we got to talk about why it's on Hawaii.
Oh yeah, you're right. Please, tell.
This is. I've got the quote in front of me from Jeff Loeb himself, who is the head of Marvel TV, and it says, part of the reason we picked Hawaii is we did it because we wanted a contained area that we could go, okay, that's what happened on an island and doesn't have a lot of communication in the places that they're in, and some people are going to know and some others, and it doesn't have to interact with other things.
So basically, it was set up so it could be ignored by everything else, especially S.H.I.E.L.D., because S.H.I.E.L.D. has Inhumans on it. Which honestly still feels like bullshit. Like, hey, people were filming him flipping a car with his voice.
Yeah.
Like, the internet exists.
I still somewhat expect S.H.I.E.L.D. to reference that moment. I mean, I don't know. They might reference whatever happens at the end of the season, assuming something big happens in Hawaii at the end of the season. I'm never going to find out. I'll find out if S.H.I.E.L.D. tells me something happened. But I'd expect those little moments are the things I would expect it to mention and go, hey, look, that's going on. I'm okay with that if it does. In fact, even though I don't like this show and I wish it didn't exist, I will like if Shield does do that because it's what it should be doing.
Yeah, that said, I won't be mad at them if they don't.
No, I don't. It doesn't need to go into it loads, but I think references just go. No, this is something that they're aware of. Is something that Shield should do on a core level.
Probably, but given how bad it is, I really won't be upset if they say, you know what, let's just pretend that. I mean, we've got a new Halloween movie coming out next year that's ignoring every single movie except the first two.
That's true, but
if they can do that, then Shield can just ignore Inhumans. It's fine.
yeah, but Jeff Loeb's the boss of Shield as well, so
Yeah, which really tells you that he's not the reason why that's good. The reason why Shield is good is because the people who've got a show running.
obviously.
Jed Whedon and Marissa Takara. I can't remember her last name off the top. Like, I remember what it looks like in my head, but I can't get the
Yeah.
things
No,
in the right order.
I'm the same. It's like
Yeah.
I can vaguely place the T's and the N's.
Yeah. But you know, they're obviously the reason why Shield is as good as it is. Clearly, it's not because I mean, Loeb does all the Netflix ones as well, and it's like those have been up and down. Like
Yeah.
you have Jessica Jones, but then you have Iron Fist. So clearly,
Yeah.
he's not the one who's driving the
Jeff
quality.
Loeb is to Marvel TV what Feige is to the Marvel movies.
Yeah, well, that's what he's supposed to be. I'd argue maybe he's not as good
Yeah,
at
but
it.
less involved, perhaps.
Yeah, I have nothing else. That was terrible. It was absolutely
Yeah,
awful.
it was atrocious, and I wasted far too much of my life watching it.
And do you know what I feel really sad that we watched both parts because I feel like my review would almost be no different had I only watched the first one.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Do you know, I feel bad for anyone who paid to watch this in an IMAX because they didn't even get, like they didn't even, like, yeah. But beyond just the disappointment, they then had to watch it again on TV anyway because there was subplots that weren't in the IMAX version that were in this.
Just imagine paying to see this.
Ugh,
Imagine.
it's horrifying.
They should be paying us.
They should
watch
pay
it.
us towards shite.
That is Marvel's Inhumans. It is awful as expected. We were going to do the first one because we had to just get the review out there. The first
I will
one.
say I'm almost glad it was as atrocious as I thought it was going to be because it meant that okay, at least I get to come in here and be justified in our hatred for the last few months of what we were expecting. It wasn't like we get it wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be.
No, it was just as bad.
It was just it was exactly as bad as we thought it was going to be, and that feels somewhat satisfying.
It's as bad in the same way that Iron Fist was, but it's actually a little bit worse because there's even less because at least we like Colleen a little bit at the start. There was Kyle was a legend,
Kyle's a hero.
but this anyway, that is Marvel's Inhumans. Let us know what you thought of it in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. You can do that over there. Don't worry about all the extra streams after midnight episodes going up on the channel this month. It'll go back to normal in November. Don't worry. It's just a 1 month thing that they're going up so frequent. But yeah, so that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?